listening to the home of cool, irreverent, and entertaining talk, right here on LA Talk Radio. You're listening to The Art of Love with your host, Lucia, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Welcome to The Art of Love. My name is Lucia. I'm your host and a dating and relationship expert. And I'm here to entertain, educate, and enlighten you about love, dating, and relationships. Take your live calls, answer your emails, and speak to authors of books which I find interesting. And this week's topic is something that I know all single women will be interested in. And that is, well, the name of the book is The 7 Self-Sabotaging Behaviors That Keep Women from Finding Mr. Right. So it's all about finding Mr. Right. The author is Devon Brown. His website is howtogetamannow.com. Get a man now, not tomorrow. We all want the man right away, right? So let's see what Devon has to say. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Lucia.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So you're an author, you're a dating coach. How did you come to write this book?
Well, I got into the whole dating world, actually, because I used to have zero luck with women. I like to tell people I went from 40-year-old virgin to 4 dates a week. Is, I guess, an oversimplified way of stating it. Now, I'm not 40, and I'm not quite a virgin, but with regard to my luck with women, I was frustrated back in my late teens and my early 20s, thinking to myself, hey, I'm a nice guy, I'm ambitious, why are women not responding to me? And then a good friend of mine introduced me to the world of dating and the world of pickup artists, which I'm sure you're familiar with, and the world of, just understanding the psychology and the social dynamics that go on between men and women. And I was able to go from, having virtually no relationships to having multiple dates a week pretty much at will. And in doing that, I ended up making a lot of friends with different women that I would meet on dating sites or just out and about. And those who there was no those women, when they and I didn't have a real connection as far as love is concerned, what would often happen is we would end up becoming friends. And so I would make friends with these women, and they would come to me and ask me, hey, Devon, what do you think about this guy I'm dating, or what do you think about this guy who did X, Y, or Z to me? And I really started to get an insight as to the conversations that they were having inside of their heads, and I came to realize that, wow, the questions that these women are asking themselves are completely different than the questions the guys are asking themselves. What's the conversation that you're having in your head is so different than the conversation that I'm having in my head as a man. And so one thing led to another, and then just one day I decided to write the book and to put up the website.
So I've been to your website. I've seen your videos and your photos. So I find it hard to believe that you had trouble getting a date.
I did. In high school, I get that. Thank you for the compliment. But in high school, I was, really, really skinny kid, big glasses. Now I'm a pretty good dancer. So I'm very grateful that I could dance. Thank God I could dance, or I would have, probably never had a date. But what you see now isn't what.
Oh, okay.
What wasn't me? Yeah. So that was, if you take me 10, 15 years ago, it was big, giant Steve Urkel glasses, 112 pounds soaking wet. I was so skinny I had to run around in the shower just to get wet. So.
Okay, got it. All right. So you have the 7 sabotaging behaviors. We're going to discuss just a few of them. So the most popular one, which all women feel they need to do, and that is playing hard to get. So why is that not a good idea?
Right. So if we look at this strictly from a words and actions have meaning thing perspective, and what I mean by that is that when somebody says something or somebody does something, we apply meaning to it, right? Mm-hmm. If we look at it from strictly that perspective, then what we come to realize is this. If the words or the actions that you do don't mean what it's most obviously likely that they do mean, then there's gonna be some problems. I want to give you a real life example of this. Very often, the advice that you hear is, when he calls you, don't call him back, or when he calls you, wait a few days to see if he calls again, right? Mm-hmm. And so we hear that. So here's the problem with that. Let's say you're out at the club, or you're out of the club, you're out of the bar, and you meet a guy. And you meet this guy, and you give him your phone number because you like this guy and you're hoping he calls, right? Mm-hmm. And then a few hours later, you meet another guy, and for whatever reason, you gave this other guy your phone number, but you're not really that interested in him. You're not sure why you gave him your phone number, but you did. Now, you got two guys that are going to call you, one of whom you are interested in, the other guy you are not interested in. If the guy who you are not interested in calls you, what are you going to do? Are you going to pick up the phone, or are you going to ignore his phone call?
Ignore.
You're going to ignore him. Okay. So what about the guy who does call you? So you're ignoring him. You're ignoring the guy who doesn't like you, right? Because you're ignoring the guy who you don't like because you don't like him.
Right.
You're hoping he doesn't call you again.
Right.
You're saying, hey, I don't like you, therefore I'm not going to answer the phone. But if you do the same action with the guy who you do like, how is he supposed to discern the difference? You see what I'm saying? It's the same. If a guy that you do like calls you and you say, well, I'm going to play hard to get with this one, I'm not going to answer the phone. Mm-hmm. Well, that's the same action you did with the guy that you don't like.
But, all right, but what if I couldn't answer the phone and I was busy?
No, that's fine. All I'm suggesting is that, well, let me ask you this. When one of your girlfriends calls you mm-hmm. and you're busy, do you answer the phone?
Well, I'm unusual. I'm not like most people because if I'm busy, I don't answer the phone no matter what.
Right. No, that's fine. Yeah, if one of your girlfriends calls you and you're busy, you will not answer the phone, correct?
Right.
Right, but when you get not busy, you'll call her back.
Right.
Right, and so that's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is handle it the same way. Now, if you're legitimately busy, I don't want you answering the phone. What I'm saying is a purposeful is purposely ignoring him mm-hmm. in hopes that we'll make him chase you. Mm-hmm. Okay? I am saying that, believe it or not, if a guy actually likes you, there's no reason for you to start giving him signals that you're not interested.
Right. I mean, yeah, like you mentioned about waiting 2 days to call, 48 hours, whatever. Yeah, some of the things that women were taught from that book, the rules, yeah, I totally disagree with. I think it's actually impolite or just rude.
Correct.
To not call for 2 days, whether it's business or personal. I try to call the same day if possible.
Absolutely. And so what I'm saying is if you're making a game out of it, if you're saying to yourself, I like this guy, he called me, I'm going to do what I heard, my best friend, when she gave me advice, I'm going to do what she said and wait 3 days to call this guy back, well, then you're not setting yourself up for success. Because I'll tell you that as a guy now who is comfortable dating and who has dates, mm-hmm. if I get a woman's phone number mm-hmm. And I call her and she doesn't call me back, I'm on to the next one.
But what if you really, really like her?
If I really, really like her, I might give it one more chance. Exactly. I might chalk it up to maybe she missed the call, maybe something happened with the cell phone. But if you get more than 2 calls from me, then you consider yourself lucky. And the only reason I say this is because when you first meet somebody, I don't believe that it needs to be difficult. I think that it should be easy. If I like you and you like me, then why does it need to be difficult?
Well, I think people are trying to raise their value by making it seem like, oh, I'm so busy, and I don't know if I have time to talk to you, and we'll see where you fit in.
Ah, right. So you are the idea of raising one's value, of being high value, mm-hmm. right? Yes. That's what we all want to be. Yes. Is that if you want to be high value. But my question is that the best way to be high value? Is the best way to be high value giving the illusion that you're busy, or is the best way to be high value showing people that you have standards of respect and that you expect a certain level of respect and that you give a certain level of respect?
Right. Exactly.
I would argue that it's the latter. I would argue that if you are trying to me, and I can't speak for all men, but I can tell you that, a lot of guys, especially men who are frustrated with women, nice guys, by the way, who are just frustrated, when this playing hard to get thing comes, a lot of times they just get frustrated and give up. Not that I wasn't genuinely interested in you. I was. I absolutely was. But you gave me a signal, and you told me, hey, I don't have time for you right now. Or I'm not interested in you right now. Okay, if you're going to give me that signal, don't be mad at me when I take you at your word or at your action.
Coming from the woman's point of view, I think the thing is, it's like, okay, we want to know, are you really interested? We want to know how interested you are, or are you going to just give up at the first sign of disinterest? So
that's a very good question. But then how do I, as a man, how do I discern whether you are, A, playing hard to get, or B, genuinely not interested?
So that's when the second phone call comes in. Then by calling a second time, it's like, okay, you're showing that you really are interested in her, and now you know, okay, you've called her twice. If now she doesn't respond, okay, she's not interested, whatever, now you can move on.
So as a woman, this is the great thing is that, or the thing that as a man, I will never, ever in a million years know what it's like to be a woman, right?
Right.
And women will never know what it's like to be a man.
Right.
So you're right, though. From the countless women I've spoken to, one of your biggest concerns is, you know what, I want to make sure that he is interested, right?
Right.
I want to make sure that he isn't playing games with me. I want to make sure that he's genuinely interested. I would suggest that the whole playing hard to get thing, if you choose to do it, then don't be surprised if you let a great guy who has just decided that he has zero time for games, don't be surprised if you let him walk out of your life.
Yeah.
And it's not that he's not interested. I'll tell you what it is that if I call you, and this happens to me even all the time, I will call a woman who I've met, and I'm genuinely interested in her, and then she doesn't respond. That's rejection. That doesn't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
So, I like you, but I'm not going to go through that again. I'm going to go off and find somebody who actually is more interested in going out on a date with me. This is often a man's mentality. I'm going to go off and find somebody who's more interested in going out on a date with me, not somebody who's going to make me chase them down.
Okay, but here's the thing about...
I did like you.
But here's the thing about rejection. Now, because guys are usually the ones that have to approach, right? So don't you...
Correct.
Don't you kind of form a shell after a certain number of years, and you're kind of not immune to it, but you don't take it as hard?
No, believe it or not, most guys, I would argue, do take it as hard. Now, I think you're absolutely correct. Societally speaking, it's my job to approach you. Societally speaking, it's my job to approach you. However, the rejection thing, yeah, that's not something that we get callous to. I mean, some guys do, and you'll hear men talk man game, and they'll talk about, whatever, on to the next one, but that's a lot of macho ego sometimes. The reality is that if I was genuinely interested in you and you rejected me, that hurts. Men don't like saying it, and maybe some men don't want me to say it, but the reality is that doesn't feel good.
But also,
it doesn't. And the more I like you, the more it hurts.
Right. But then also the thing is, okay, if she barely knows you, if she just saw you for 5 minutes, you guys met, exchanged numbers, whatever, I mean, she's not really rejecting you. She doesn't know you. She's rejecting
right.
the idea.
So the whole reason I'm calling is so that we can get to know each other.
Right, but I'm just trying to try to make men not feel so bad. It's because it's not like she knows, everything about you. She's dated you for months or years, and now she's rejecting you. It's like she just talked to you for 5 minutes. So why take it so personally?
Oh, because the reality is that what's going on in my mind when I meet you and I've determined that I like you is that I get excited, right? Like very often, you'll see women after the first date, they'll get excited and they'll start thinking of it. If it goes really well, you guys will start thinking about the second date and the third date, and you'll start thinking about your future with this guy, right?
Yes.
We'll do that. We'll do that after 5 minutes of meeting you.
Wow.
We will. We will sit there and get excited. I can't tell you the numerous women that I've met that I've spoken to for, less than an hour, just out and about, and I've gotten so excited about the potential of or the possibility of seeing them. I'm extremely excited about it. I've determined that I want to go out on a date with you, that I'm interested in, at the absolute least, seeing where this goes. Or at the absolute least, just going to lunch and getting to know you. That's what I'm looking forward to. But when I call you and you say to me no, for the sake of oversimplification,
yes, then
I ask in my mind, well, how am I supposed to take that? How am I supposed to take that? Am I supposed to take that as, I really wasn't that is that she really wasn't that interested in me?
Uh-huh.
Or am I supposed to take that as try harder, stupid?
Yeah.
I don't know. And so now it's up to me to say, okay, but if I call again, then I'm that creepy guy. Because if I call again and you're not interested in me, then I'm a creeper, as they like to say, right?
Well, I think not if you wait a week.
Right. You know what? Honestly, I come from the school of I come from a school of thought where if I like you and you like me, I don't understand. I struggle with the why it has to be difficult.
I know.
Why we have to make things difficult. Arguably, the one of the greatest experiences I ever had as far as dating. I was out at a friend's birthday party, and we were at this local tavern. And I met this woman, and we chit-chatted, and the next day she shot me a text, and she didn't even wait for me. She said, hey, it was nice meeting you last night. I was like, amazed, and I was like, hey, it was nice meeting you too. And we were texting back and forth, and it turned out that we both had something to do that night, but we both had the early evening open, and we ended up going to see a movie together. And we ended up hanging out, and that was pretty much all we did that first time. But it was amazing that it was so simple and so drama-free. Mm-hmm. And that was a really good feeling, and I would argue that it doesn't at face value make sense for us to try to get in our own way. And what the whole purpose of me writing the book was to say these are things that might get in your own way. So sure, you're going to ignore him for right now, right? In hopes that you will find out for sure whether or not he's interested. Just understand, if you want to do that, by all means, but understand that if you do, he might not understand that. He cannot read your mind. He might not take it as that. He might take it as, oh, she's not interested. Man, I'm disappointed, but oh well. Let me go see who else is out there who's more interested in just going to dinner with me.
Right. I mean, and then the other point for like calling again is you just never know what may have happened. Something may have happened with the phone. They may not have gotten your message. Again, technology might be messing you up and you don't even know it.
You are absolutely correct. And so the two strikes policy is what I like to call it. I'm okay with the two strikes policy.
Yeah.
I am 150% okay with the two strikes policy. But after that, no. And I also believe wholeheartedly that, if you like a guy, I'm okay with, honestly, and I wonder, I'm curious, have you surveyed guys as to whether or not they think it's okay for women to approach or for women to initiate contact?
Oh, of course they all say they love it. Of course.
Right. We all say we love it. And so if we have two people that are interested in each other, then I would always say that the phone works both ways.
I know, but
and I understand that there are gender roles.
Women want to be chased and courted.
That's fair. That is more than fair.
Right.
I would suggest that if you want to be chased and courted,
yes,
then do me a favor, as a man, don't run away when I start chasing after you.
Okay. Well, if we don't run, you can't chase.
But no, you can stand there. You can stand there, and when I come towards you, don't, because if you start to run away, I promise you that tells me, oh, she's running away. Oh, I guess she's not interested, or she wouldn't be running away. Just from a strictly logical perspective,
right?
From a looking at the evidence at face value, looking at it strictly as logic. Logic tells me if you're interested, you will come towards me. If you're not, you will run away from me. So in my logical man brain, I'm saying she ran away. Oh, she's not interested.
Mm. Yeah.
So that's how it comes across. And so then I'm like, if she's not interested, hey, I'm not a stalker. I'm not going to chase her down if she's not interested. That's unfortunate. I'm disappointed, but I'm going to move on to somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you with, calling and texting back, because it's not even so much when you call or text back. It's more about what's your attitude when you do that. Because, if you wait 2 days to call back and then you're like desperate, then that's a turnoff as opposed to calling back right away but not being desperate.
You know what? I agree with that statement 150%.
Yeah. It's the attitude, not what that whether you call today or 24 hours from now. That's really not going to make that much of a difference.
You are absolutely correct in the attitude statement. I want to make sure that I give that advice more. You are absolutely correct on that.
Yeah, because I used to be the one that would wait to call back and all that, but now I don't. Plus I'm becoming more forgetful. And it's like, I have to answer like right away, because otherwise I'm going to forget, like genuinely, and then it's like, oops, I forgot to call.
So, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So on to the next one. Boy, we spent a lot of time on that. Hard to get.
We did. That's okay.
Because it's important. Because everyone, it's so enmeshed in the society and culture. It's like, be hard to get. Be hard to get. So we have to demystify a bit of it. So the next one is not. Okay, this is kind of similar. Okay,
This is very similar.
Not letting him know you're interested. and you say, okay, the truth of the matter is the more attractive we think you are, the more intimidating you can be.
Correct. What I'm telling women with regard to not letting him know you're interested is, as a matter of fact, this happened to me just last night. Right?
Do tell.
I was at a nightclub, and a young lady thought that I was attractive, right? And I'd seen her out of the corner of my eye, and I thought she was attractive as well. And I was going back to find my friends because I'm going to say misplaced them, but you don't really misplace friends. I just wandered off because that's what I do sometimes when I'm out dancing. And she put herself in my way, quote unquote, accidentally.
Yes.
She put herself in my way so that I would be forced to bump into her.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. And that sparked the conversation. We ended up spending the rest of the night hanging out together. We exchanged phone numbers. Right?
Right.
Sometimes when you see a guy, have you ever seen a guy looking at you from across the bar?
Never. Just kidding.
Never? Right, exactly. Right? And then have you ever said, oh, I wonder why he didn't approach me?
Yes.
Yeah, well, he didn't approach you because he was terrified of you, more often than not. Mm-hmm. If he's staring, he likes you. And what he's looking for is he's looking for a signal. Mm-hmm. He's looking for a signal that it's okay to approach. So when I say let him know that you're interested, that can be something as simple as a smile. Mm-hmm. An inviting smile that says, yes, if you approach me, I am not going to reject you. It can be something as simple as getting in his way. Mm-hmm. It can be these little subtle things because I understand the gender roles and that I am, as a man, supposed to, quote unquote, approach you. But I'll give you an even better example. Back in the olden days, like the 1800s, women used to walk around and they used to have like handkerchiefs, right? And I live in the South. You're in. I live in Atlanta, and so you can imagine the Southern belle with a big poof dress, and she's walking down the street and she drops her handkerchief and she says, "Oh my goodness, I seem to have dropped my handkerchief," right? Mm-hmm. And then the guy who she dropped it in front of says, "Oh, ma'am, let me help you with that."
Right.
That was something subtle to let him know that she was interested.
Oh.
Do you see what I'm saying? So this is one of those, and I'm coming at this from a couple of different angles. But the point of letting him know you're interested, the big point is, if you see a guy and he's looking at you, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. Or he keeps standing close to you, he's always around you, his proximity is close to yours, right? Or even if you're conversing with a guy, out and about, the point is that you want to give IOIs or indicators of interest. No matter what point in time you are, or no matter what point in time you are along the whole continuum from whether you just met or just made eye contact with him, or you're to the point where you're on your first date. My point is to give the proper signals, and the proper signals are one of interest. If you give me a sign that you're interested, if you give me a sign that I'm not going to get rejected, then I'm going to be more happy to take the lead and more happy to pursue.
Yeah, but also, like, once you actually do start talking to the woman, like, my thing is, it's like, okay, if I'm talking to you, I'm interested, because if I wasn't interested, I wouldn't be talking to you. So just the fact
Correct.
that she's talking to you means that she's interested.
Good, and so here's what we get, and this goes back to the other thing. So you're talking to me, and I think you're interested, and then we exchange phone numbers, and I call you the next day, and then you don't call me back. I'm like, oh, no, was she not interested?
Right, that's the confusion.
And then I'm confused, and then I'm like, oh, okay, so now we've got what we call indicators of interest. You gave me all these indicators of interest. You talked, we were chit-chatting, we were laughing, we were having a great time, and the next day I go to call you back, or I call you like I said I would, and then you don't call me back. 24, 48 hours has passed by, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, maybe she wasn't interested.
If you call when you call, do you leave a message?
Well, sometimes I call, sometimes I text. Sometimes, often, what I have found works, and this is just for me, and if you guys want to use this, feel free, is I will text the same night to see if they text back. I will text something like, hey, I hope you made it home safely, or it was great meeting you and your friends. I hope you made it home safely.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea.
Things like that. 8 times out of 10, if they respond back, it was great meeting you too, then I'll go ahead and call them, a day or two later or whenever. But if they don't respond back, then sometimes they might not get a call from me.
I had a date once, and we went out, and then as I was driving home, he texted me just like you were saying about, hey, I hope you make it home safe, and somehow I had my phone on silent. I didn't know I had the text, right? And so then I didn't check my phone. I went to bed. Wake up the next morning, there's these messages. It's like, well, that's rude. I texted you back to see if you made it home. I was like, damn.
Yes, I'm telling you. You know what that tells you? That should tell you that men's egos are very fragile. No matter how much smack we talk, no matter how much you think that a man is supposed to be a man, I am telling you that his feelings were hurt. He felt rejected.
But that was a turnoff to me. It's like, well, if
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely sure it was, and it was nothing intentional on your part.
No, because he immediately jumped to the wrong conclusion.
Correct.
You can't jump to the wrong. I mean, you can jump to it, but just don't say it out loud.
Right. That is part of the problem. That is absolutely part of the problem. Is that you say we jump to the wrong conclusion. We apply meanings to things. And so whenever possible, we want to make sure that the meaning that somebody is receiving is the meaning that we're sending. Now, in that situation that you just gave me, that was completely accidental. You weren't trying to throw anything. Your phone was on silent. Absolutely. What I'm saying is that had you ignored him on purpose, which is what he thought, right, then the result would have been the same. Right. One would have been, I'm not going to say justified, but more justified, and the other one was completely on accident.
Right, exactly.
Or more understandable is a better way of saying it.
Yeah. Now, okay, so you say that the more attractive that you think the woman is, the more intimidating she can be, but you don't even know anything about her, so you're intimidated by her attractiveness?
Correct. At first, that's all I know about you. What do I know about you? When I first see you, that's instantly what I'm attracted to. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, I have gone on dates with beautiful women, and after 5 minutes of actually being with them, I am completely turned off.
Right.
Where I'm like, wow, you are not hot in my eyes anymore. But when I initially see you, what do I know about you? Whether I see you in a coffee shop or whether I see you at a dance club or whether I see you on a dating site, the only thing I know about you, for the most part, is whether or not I'm physically attracted to you.
So even after years and years of dating...
No. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say it's like... and you know that just because someone's attractive doesn't mean you're going to like them or they have a great personality. I'm just surprised that people are still intimidated just because of the looks.
It's a knee-jerk reaction. Mm. It's not something that I can sit there and tell myself, you're correct, your point is valid. I can sit there and tell myself, she's attractive, but I've, been through dating for years and years and years, and I know just because she's attractive, it doesn't mean, that X leads to Y leads to Z. She's just a human being. She could, be dumb as a box of rocks. She could have halitosis. I don't know why I'm so intimidated. I could sit there and think that all logically, but my brain doesn't work like that. It's like, oh, you're pretty. Oh, I don't want you to reject me. It's a knee-jerk thing.
Got it. Okay, so let's move on to the third one, and that is being too picky.
Yes. Some of the best dates I've ever been on are with women who I didn't think I was going to have a good time with, or with the woman who I didn't think was the most attractive, that ended up blowing me out of the water with regard to her awesomeness in other areas. Mm-hmm. We're told to make a list of the things that we want.
Yes.
And I don't know if you've given that advice to your listeners or not. Well, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I give a little different advice. I say make a list of the type of guy you want, and now look at that list and think about what type of woman does that guy need and become that woman. Okay.
That's fair. There was a movie, and I mentioned it in the book. There's a movie called, what was the name of it? It's with Matthew Perry and Selma Hayek. Mm-hmm. And in the movie, they're completely different people. Matthew Perry is the white guy from New York. He's supposed to marry the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Catholic woman, right? Mm-hmm. And Selma Hayek is this Spanish woman, and they come from two completely different sides of the pond. And a long story short is they end up falling in love and getting married, but then they end up breaking up because they're not, quote-unquote, supposed to be together. And if you look at what it was that each of them were to have on their, quote-unquote, lists, right, then they wouldn't have met each other's lists preliminarily. But at the end of the movie, there's a part where he breaks down, and she's saying, "Why do you love me?" And he basically says what I think is one of the best lines ever. He says, "You are everything I never knew I always wanted." Mm-hmm. When you are super picky at first, and that's what I'm really talking about, is at first. When you start judging a guy at first, you're not giving yourself the opportunity to find awesome qualities that you never knew existed.
Right.
When you sit there and you're going through the dating profiles and you sit there and say, oh, this guy doesn't make enough money, or oh, he's kind of cute, but he's a brown-haired guy. I like blonde-haired guys. Or when you're being ultra picky like that on dating sites, or when you think that somebody doesn't meet all of your ultra picky criteria, and you're looking for this Mr. Perfect guy, let me just tell you a little secret that I've learned is that people will surprise you with how awesome they are. And that guy who meets all of your criteria that you think you want, when you get it, sometimes you realize that it's not as important as you thought it was.
Right. I mean, you often hear people that get married say, oh, he wasn't my type at first and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So, okay, so on your website, howtogetamannow.com, so you have your free dating quiz, which I took. And,
okay.
I got a score of 49 out of 60.
Uh-oh. Out of
60.
What is it? Out of 60. That's right. It's out of 60. I was thinking it was out of 100. It's out of 60. You are correct.
Yeah. Not bad. Hey, it wasn't perfect. So I made notes here of some of the ones that I didn't agree with your quote-unquote best answer.
Yeah, please.
So we may have already discussed some of these. So let's see. My answer was, okay, wait 3 days. Okay, so when I first meet a guy, give him my number. Okay, I would wait 3 days to see if he calls, and if he doesn't, then I would move on to the next. And you say, or your quiz says, hope that he'll call you first, but if he doesn't, shoot him a message within 48 hours telling him it was nice to meet him. And so the reason again, is because, like I said, I want to know if he's interested. And if he's not interested enough to contact me within 48 hours, then
But what if something happened with regard to technology, as you and I both said?
Right. So that's why I was going to say I would only contact him if I really, really, really was interested.
Okay, that's fair. I gave that. I say that's the best answer just because when you said, there are times when technology messes us up, right, where you shoot somebody a text. Heck, it just happened to me the other day where I had sent somebody a message on Facebook, and I'm sitting here thinking, oh, there she goes again. She's flaking on me. She's not responding back. And I just realized 2 hours ago that she actually hit me back the very same day.
Yeah, I have a story. Go ahead, sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
It's hard to tell who's going to talk. You're on the phone. I was going to say, that happened to me once. I was dating this guy, and he would call me, every morning, every afternoon, and every night, 3 times a day. So, you kind of get used to the pattern. You're like Pavlov's dog. You're waiting for that call.
Correct.
And so, afternoon came, and I did not receive a call, and so then by the time I didn't receive a call in the morning or a call in the afternoon, and then by the time evening came and he called, I didn't answer the phone. I'm like, well, if he didn't have time to call me this morning, then I'm not talking to him tonight. So I didn't call him back that night. So of course he was surprised. So he called me again the next morning. And when I went to pick up his message the next morning, I saw there was a message from the previous morning that hadn't come through.
Right.
So all that drama for nothing.
For nothing. And this is what we do as human beings. And so all I'm suggesting in a lot of the dating advice I give is I say, why don't we have both parties take control or take responsibility for the fact that something might happen. Something unintentional might happen is what I should say. Right? So the reason I gave for that particular quiz, that's the best answer was, you said, well, if he's not interested in me, then, forget it, I'll move on. Well, you're right, but what if he did shoot you a text message? What if he called you and it got shot straight through to voicemail and T-Mobile or Verizon, or AT&T didn't send the message until later?
Yeah.
And so just and by shooting him a text that says, hey, it was great meeting you, all that does is, and that's not chasing, that's just saying, hey, I was thinking about you and I actually did enjoy meeting you.
Yeah, I agree. And also the thing is that because what you're doing is you're sending up what I call a test balloon.
Right.
You want to see what the reaction is going to be. And if you're going to get rejected, if he doesn't call you back, okay, fine. You put yourself out there. You send out the test balloon. It came back negative. Now you can move on.
Correct. Absolutely.
Okay. So let's move on to the next one. Okay. About approaching. So I don't generally approach guys. So my answer was, okay, often it's a woman's job to let a guy knows she wants him to approach. But your best answer was, it's the 21st century. If I want to approach a guy, I'm going to approach him. Well,
I would go by this. So the goal of us having this conversation today is to talk about how to get a great guy into your life, right?
Right.
Okay. So if you want a good job, then you got to go out there and get that good job. If you want to lose weight, then you got to go in the gym and lose weight. All I'm suggesting is that we start taking control of what it is we want out of life. Mm-hmm. And that's where that comes from. So it is. I mean, whether it's the 21st century or not, I mean, I gave the example before of the woman with in the 1800s with the handkerchief, right? Mm-hmm. Where she dropped that handkerchief, and that was her signal to let the guy know that she's interested. So when I say approach, I'm not saying go up. Like I had a girl come up to me one time, and she said, "Excuse me," and I was like, "Yes." She says, "Do you got any kids?" And I was like, "No." And then she says, "Do you have a girlfriend?" And I was like, "No, I don't have a girlfriend." She's like, "Well, I'm interested." Now that's a little,
Wow.
Now, good thing is she was really, really attractive, so she was able to get away with it. So I let that slide. But that was aggressive, and I'm not suggesting you do that. What I'm suggesting is to send a guy indicators of interest. If you are interested in a guy, there are a million things you can do. Back to what I said at the beginning of the conversation. I said, just get in his way, like the young lady did to me last night. She got in my way. And when I say approach, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I had the same thing happen to me. Boy, we kind of had leading parallel dating lives here. Met this guy at a party. Within like 30 seconds, he's like, "Do you have any kids?" "No." "Do you want kids?" "No." And I'm like, what the hell? You know, like, what guy asks that within 30 seconds of meeting you?
Yeah, it was abrupt. So with regard to that answer to the quiz, that's why I say it's in 21st century. That's why I say that. I was like, go get what you want.
Yeah.
If you see a guy on a dating site, wink at him.
Oh, yeah, definitely on the dating site. I'm just talking about in person. What I would do if it's like someplace where I'm going to see him a lot, like say at work or the gym or something like that at school, then I would, try to make my presence known by smiling. But if it's only a one.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah,
that's perfect. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. That's you approached him whether we want to use that nuanced definition of the word or not.
Oh,
you
okay. Got it.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean I would. I don't really want, but then, like women, it's easier for women because I don't think I've ever actually gone up to someone, but I know if I just look at a guy and smile, more likely than not, he's coming over.
Right, and you're an attractive enough woman that you can get away with that.
Right.
That's all you have to do. And so if I was that attractive that I could just go up and smile at everybody I wanted and have them come up and talk to me, oh man, are you kidding? I'd be like, I hit the lottery. I just hit the jackpot. It's crazy. You guys, I honestly believe that women, you guys are the ones with the power.
But you know what? Here's the thing. The reason we have the power is because we don't really care to use it. Because, yeah, if a guy had that power, we could just smile at a woman and all the women would just approach. Yeah, you'd be using it left and right. But since we know we have it, then we're like, we're kind of blasé about it.
Right. So I'm saying don't be so blasé if there's a guy that you like. If there's a guy that you like and all it takes is a smile, oh, yeah, throw that smile.
Yeah.
And you get what you want. Or what you think you want, and then you go on a date with him. He could be a loser, but,
Uh-huh. So, because, you also do marketing. So maybe just talk about the importance of, because when you're putting yourself out there, whether on a dating site or in real life, you're actually marketing yourself. You're the package.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead.
The single biggest piece of advice I can tell you with regard to marketing is to be authentic. Be you. Don't be who you think you should be. Be who you are. The things that make us fall in love, the things that make somebody really become attracted to us are the quirky things, are the quote-unquote imperfections. Right? It's the dorky stuff that we find out that we have in common that we don't openly want to tell.
Yeah.
Be you. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I totally agree, because the times that guys have made comments about things, it was things that I actually thought, oh, I should hide this, but then I had some coupons on the counter, and a guy saw, he's like, oh, you clip coupons, that's great. And I was like, it is? I'm like, oh, okay. I thought I needed to hide that. And then another time a friend called me, and I was hand washing lingerie, and he was surprised that I was hand washing, and he was impressed by that.
Those are the things that make people want to really hang out with each other and connect with you. One of my exes, she had this thing where it was just like she was a baby, and she had this thing where she would just bring around this little piece of silk cloth, and she would always rub it, right? And she was embarrassed by it because that's something that like a child would do, like a teddy bear or something like that. I thought it was adorable. I absolutely loved that.
Wow. See, okay.
When she told me that, I almost felt like, that's something that you told me that I can tell that you don't want the world to know, and the fact that you were able to let me in like that or know this about you, oh, thank you so much. That is such a turn on.
Yeah, actually, you just reminded me, when I was living in Italy and with, I met the guy who eventually, wanted to marry me, and I told him when we first met that I was so lonely before I met him that I was walking by the store and I saw this little polar bear. A little fluffy polar bear, and it was so cute. I said I bought it to sleep with it so I wouldn't be lonely. And he said that's pretty much when he fell in love.
Yep. So with regard to marketing, be you, be authentic, do you, let your imperfections, and I don't even want to call them that, but just for the sake of conversation, because they're certainly not imperfections, they're unique qualities about you. Let those shine through. Don't be the woman in the magazine. Don't be what society tells you to be. Be you.
Exactly. Okay. Well, it's been wonderful having you on. I knew you'd be a wonderful guest. I saw your videos. I'm like, boy, this guy's high energy.
Oh, thank you.
Can match my own energy. We can have a equal conversation here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So your website is howtogetamannow.com. And so what do you have? What are you offering on that website besides your book, obviously?
Offer obviously the book. There's also a free video there. Right when you get to the first page, there's a video. I did a video interview with a very good friend of mine who I give dating advice to, and we recorded the entire video, and it shares 6 simple secrets for successful dating, and that entire video is yours for free. You can see it. You can access it just for opting in and getting access to my newsletter, and we'll give you that entire video for free. But I also have on the site, as you said, the 7 self-sabotaging behaviors that keep women from finding Mr. Right, and I also have 6 simple secrets for successful online dating. Apparently, I like alliteration.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much for being on.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All the best.
All righty. Bye-bye.
I wish every guest was like him. Equal energy levels, as opposed to trying to raise them from the dead. Okay, so we have a few minutes here. A couple of things I want to talk about. I've been trying to talk about these for weeks. So Kim Kardashian, who I love to talk about once in a while, so she recently bought Kanye West, her boyfriend, a Ferrari, I think it is, one of those matte Ferraris. I don't know what the appeal is with these matte. I guess because it looks like the Batmobile. I mean, women, we want shiny cars. We're not into those matte cars. But anyways, that's not the point. I think she paid $750,000 for it, which, okay, fine, she can afford it. But my thing is, it's like, wow, you've just started dating, I don't know, with 2 months, and you're already buying a really, really expensive gift. I don't think it's a good idea. And I know they were friends for a long time, but still, dating and being friends is 2 totally different things. So, I mean, I hope that, the investment works out for her. Who knows? Maybe she got it at a discount because they knew she would be getting a lot of publicity. But I know that just in general, people have a tendency to give too much too soon. And, no one is going to fall in love with you just because you give them something. You can't buy someone's love. I'm not saying she was trying to buy his love, but people fall in love with you because of who you are, not because of what you do for them. Because I know I've had guys do all kinds of things for me, and, they could have done, I was not going to be interested. They could have done anything in the world, taken me anywhere, done anything, and I still was not going to be interested. I mean, you have to like the person regardless of what they do or do not do for you. And in fact, the guys that have fallen for me, usually it seemed that they were the ones that I didn't do anything for, and or may not even have been that interested initially, and yet they were interested. So it's not about doing or giving. So just in case anyone out there was planning to give something expensive, hold back. Also, I don't know if you've seen the new show on Fox. It's called The Choice. It's a takeoff on The Voice. I didn't realize it was at first. Because, I mean, it does have the 4 chairs, so you think I would have made the connection. But I was explaining the show to someone. I'm like, well, there's 4 chairs, and they turn around. It's kind of like The Voice, but it's not. It's called The Choice. That's why it's called The Choice. Duh, because it's patterned after the voice. So, they have celebrity bachelors and bachelorettes for them, and then they hear a girl talk about herself, blah, 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 and then they decide whether to turn around or not, and then she picks who she wants, whose team she wants to go on, and then eventually the guy picks who they want. So it's just interesting because they had the celebrity bachelorettes recently, and wow, they were a lot. We were talking about being picky earlier. Yeah, they were a lot more difficult than the men were. The men were nice, even if they turned around. The woman wasn't quite their type. They never said anything right, but the women, So I can sympathize with men being afraid of rejection because there was this one guy, and one of the women was Carmen Electra, and the other one was the former Miss USA. I think her name is Rima Fakir or something like that. And they turned around, and then they both were not interested. And instead of just not saying anything and being nice about it, they reached like, okay, no, you know what, he should pick her, and then no, he should pick her. Like they were both rejecting him right in front of his face. I felt so bad for him. But the crazy thing is that at the end, Miss USA, she ended up picking him as her guy out of the 3 guys, went on a date, and they actually ended up exchanging phone numbers and getting along well. So what does this tell you? That, you don't know initially, just as we said, when you first see someone, obviously all you know is about their looks. And just as Devon was saying that they're intimidated by good-looking women, if you're judge a guy by his looks and you're not that attracted, I'm not saying if he's like really ugly and okay, you do not want to have anything to do with him, that's fine. But if the guy is, not bad, then don't reject him. Don't be so quick to reject him because you never know. He may end up having a personality that you fit well with, and so you can't always judge a book by its cover. So give people a chance. Give peace a chance. Give people and peace a chance. So there's that show which I love, and then there's also Take Me Out. I should be getting paid for this endorsement of these shows. And Take Me Out is on just before The Choice, and George Lopez is the host, and he's always funny. And this is 30 women and 1 guy. So talk about fear of rejection. And basically, they all stand there, and in front of these podiums, they have their lights on, and the guy comes out, and initially he just says, "Hi, my name is so and so, and I'm from such and such a place." And if they're not interested, they turn off their light. And this one guy, he was half Italian, half black. He came out and he said something like, "Hello, my name is Pietro, and I'm from Lugano, Italy." And actually, Lugano's in Switzerland. What am I saying? Okay, whatever he said. I'm from Lake Como. That's my bad Italian accent. And only one person put their light out. So he ended up, eventually going with someone. So it's just interesting, again, to see the reasons that they reject the guys. If the guys that are short, forget about it. They really do not have much of a chance, unfortunately, on the show. In real life, hopefully they have more of a chance. So it's just interesting to see, again, the reasons. I mean, women will, any little thing, they will reject you. We are very, very picky, I know. What can I say? Okay, so that is today's show. I'd like to thank my guest, Devon Brown, for being such a wonderful guest. And the book, again, was The 7 Self-Sabotaging Behaviors That Keep Women from Finding Mr. Right. And his website is howtogetamannow.com. And see what score you get on the dating quiz. See if you get higher or lower than my 49. If you're interested in advertising on this show, you can contact me, and my email is just my first name, Lucia, at theartoflove.net. That's Lucia at theartoflove.net. Of course, I have my book, Lucia's Lessons of Love, available at lessonsoflove.net, and you can read a free excerpt on there. It's all the dating and relationship questions, the most asked dating and relationship questions. So it's in Q&A form. I ask a question and then I answer it. It's a very quick read. And then finally, my website is theartoflove.net, where you can sign up for my free weekly newsletter. And that is it for this week. So until next time, remember that love inspires, empowers, uplifts, and enlightens.
listening to The Art of Love with your host, Lucia, right here on LA Talk Radio.